Welcome back guys to some Kingdom Hearts. Now before I proceed, there's going to be a bunch of spoilers in this video. If you don't want to listen to anything, simply click away. Alright, now Kingdom Hearts Key servers are going to shut down in September. The story has come to a conclusion. Now the conclusion of the story has to do with the great battle that got predicted by the Book of Prophecies. A bunch of cutscenes have been translated to English. I will leave everything in the description so you guys can watch everything later. With that being said, let's get right into it. Okay, so the first cutscene starts off with the player in the Keyblade graveyard. We also have the other Keyblade wielders scattered around. We also see the Foretellers. Now during this scene, we have the player's thoughts. Words of the Foretellers weren't listened at all. Now during the events of Kingdom Hearts Key, all of the Foretellers, all of the unions, tried preventing the great battle. Unfortunately, at one point, they all realized that it's completely unavoidable. Why is the war even happening in the first place? While during the events of Kingdom Hearts Key, a lot of the unions were collecting a bunch of Lux, and with time, they were fighting over Lux. By collecting a bunch of Lux, they all thought that they would be able to completely avoid the darkness. Okay, they're fighting over Lux. What about the Keyblade? In Birth by Sleep, it was mentioned that the Keyblade is the reason why the great battle even happened in the first place. I'll talk about the Keyblade later on in this video. Now, what's very sad about this cutscene, guys, is that the player mentions that all of the Keyblade wielders we see were once friends. It's very sad to see them all fight and pretty much lose their lives. Everything at this point is out of control. A lot of people turn into heartless. They couldn't control the darkness within their hearts. A lot of fear also led to this battle. People fearing the darkness, people trying to collect as much Lux as possible. According to the player, this battle is not the end just yet. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Okay, next, we move on to a cutscene with Luxu. Luxu was first revealed in the story update of Kingdom Hearts Key, which got released a short while ago. Luxu is the sixth foreteller who never got a copy of the Book of Prophecies. During this cutscene, he's apparently following his master's orders, the master's intentions. Master Ava mentions the lost page. She questions Luxu. Could Luxu be the traitor? That we don't quite know yet. Next, the scene quickly moves on to Master Gula. He reveals part of a text that's mentioned on the lost page. Unable to permit this harmony, you will be disappointed by fate and lose sight of true strength. Misreading the truth, you will venture forth in secrecy. Gula wonders who it's talking about. Could this message be about the Master of Masters perhaps? Here's my question though. How did Lord Gula find out what's written on the lost page? No one knew about the lost page. How come Lord Gula knew about it? What do you guys think about that? Who knows, maybe Gula knew about it this whole time. In order to avoid conflict, he kept the whole thing a secret. Okay, could this message from the lost page be the truth about the traitor? Could this traitor be the Master of Masters? Look, all foretellers are collecting Lux. They're trying to avoid the darkness. How is one supposed to be the traitor? Unable to permit this harmony, forth in secrecy. The master at one point probably saw that message in the book. Therefore, he decided to suddenly disappear. The Master of Masters probably thought that his presence wouldn't have caused the conflict we see right now. Without his presence, the foretellers would get confused at one point. They wouldn't have someone to look up to. Without the Master of Masters' presence, there would be this sort of conflict in the end. Forth in secrecy, that pretty much explains the Master of Masters. He disappeared and no one knows his whereabouts. Think about it, guys. All of this was planned from the beginning. The Master probably saw the message in the book. He decided to disappear and let Luxu keep an eye on everything, just to make sure that everything was according to plan. He wanted this conflict to happen from the very beginning. This is part of his intention. He wants the foretellers to disagree with one another. He wants this battle to happen. He wants to see chaos between the unions. It's all part of his plan. Without his presence, the foretellers wouldn't have anyone to look up to. I mean, if the Master of Masters was present, the foretellers would try to come up with a solution. To make things very simple, he decided to disappear. He let Luxu keep an eye on everything. Unfortunately, what the Master desired is actually happening. Okay, let's switch things a little. If the Master of Masters is not the traitor, could Luxu be the traitor? In the next scene, we see Luxu telling Ava something shocking, and apparently it's the truth about the traitor. Okay, according to Luxu, there's probably another answer to this whole situation. Probably after the battle? We're not too sure, we don't know. Luxu says, maybe the Master was less interested in the fate of the world, and more interested in finding out how his disciples would guide the keys. The Master of Masters doesn't care about the fate of the world. He doesn't care what happens. He just wants to see how the foretellers will handle the whole situation. Master Ava responds, Luxu, you're just making your own use of the Master's intention. intentions. I really do think that Luxu is following the master's intentions. So again, could Luxu actually be the traitor? Could the message from the lost page be about Luxu going forth in secrecy? What Luxu is currently doing, doesn't that describe secrecy? He disappeared right after the master did. The lost page, okay, it could probably be talking about the master of masters. But look at Luxu, it seems like he's following the master's intentions. That message in the lost page could simply be talking about Luxu. Look, this guy is keeping an eye on everything. He wants all of this battle and conflict to happen. If he's just simply sitting there and keeping an eye on everything, then he most definitely is following his master's orders. Why would the master just decide to disappear like that? Something's up. Okay, now how are we so sure that Luxu is actually the traitor? Well, I believe there's a tiny hint. I'm gonna go over it like very soon. In the next scene, Gula mentions something else that's mentioned on the lost page. Now before that, he mentions this sentence. It's why the traitor began trying to end the world. If the traitor is the Master of Masters, then why did he mention trying to end the world? Luxu said that the Master of Masters wasn't interested with the fate of the world. But here's how I put it. What the Master of Masters is currently doing, letting the Foretellers battle and all, that's what's basically going to cause the end of the world. Now here's the interesting part of this cutscene. And then with that one strike, a bell will toll for the final battle, and the battle will begin at last, and the time shall be chosen. That one strike he just mentioned, could it be from Luxu and Ava's clash? Notice how the clash creates this huge ripple. Could this one strike be the clash of Luxu's Keyblade? Could this be what's mentioned in the book? Well, not directly. Maybe. But notice how Ava is the one who strikes first. Could Ava be the traitor? I don't really see it. Maybe she unintentionally becomes the traitor. She doesn't know that. But all we know about Master Ava so far is that she gathered all of the people who were able to control the darkness within their heart and pretty much created this group called the Dandelions. They would then move on to this outside world, pretty much to escape the war. Okay, so the bell rings and the battle starts at last. Ava being the traitor, I just don't see it. What's so wrong with creating a group called the Dandelions? A group which would escape the war. What's so wrong about that? What do you think, guys? Who do you think is the traitor? Okay, moving on. In the next scene, we have Skald and the player. Skald tells the player to join the Dandelions, to join them in the outside world. Pretty basic. Now the player says, what happens to Kirithi when they get destroyed? Kirithi replies with, I disappear. That's so sad. I feel like a lot of us will get emotional when watching back cover. The Keyblade War is very sad. Imagine watching that in back cover. Anyways, Kirithi tells the player not to join the battle. I mean, the player is its friend, right? So sad. Now eventually the player comes across Nightmare or Dark Kirithi. Dark Kirithi mentions that the player has been using this bangle which gathers Sin's darkness and turns it into power. Could this bangle also be part of the master's intention? No one knows. Anything could be part of the master's intention, right? Kirithi doesn't believe what Dark Kirithi just said, but later Dark Kirithi explains his existence. Apparently, Kirithi is Dark Kirithi's player, born from its darkness. When a player's heart gives into the darkness too much, their Kirithi gets affected. Later, Dark Kirithi turns into this cat creature. Notice how he used Heartless to transform. Those Heartless were players before. Their hearts were too weak. Darkness took over them. That's pretty much it for this scene. Next, we move on to the player fighting the Foretellers. I won't go over it, I will leave everything in the description. You guys can watch it later. These scenes are pretty basic. They're fighting and they're discussing, and Ava tells the player to join the Dandelions. Next, we notice the players' hearts starting to disappear. Their hearts are fading away. It's pretty sad. They lost their lives. Darkness overtook them. They were too weak. It got too overwhelming for them at one point. And you know what's sad, guys? They were trying to prevent this from the beginning. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. Now the main player lies down. Is she on the verge of dying? I don't know. I'm not too sure. The player mentions goddess and Skald appears. Now I tried looking up the meaning of the word Skald, and apparently it's one of the 3 goddesses of destiny. This goddess decides the fate of people. Since the player saw Skald, the player might live. Skald decided that the player should live and move on to the outside world. If that's the case, Skald is still alive and Ephemera as well. Notice the Dandelions. They probably moved to the outside world and decided to bring the player with them. Okay, now notice the light shining down on the player. That's most definitely Kingdom Hearts. Here's what I think. Those who had strong hearts, those who weren't easily controlled by the darkness, their hearts moved to Kingdom Hearts. Or here's another way of saying this. Their light What's left of it went to Kingdom Hearts. For the weak-hearted, unfortunately, they perished forever into the darkness. Maybe the weak-hearted turned into heartless and ended up in the realm of darkness, stuck there forever. But I think the Keyblade wielders simply died. Their hearts vanished forever, and the strong-hearted, their hearts went to Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts might represent the outside world, a world full of light. And now the dandelions moved to this outside world full of light. According to Master Xehanort, light was a gift from an unseen land by the name of Kingdom Hearts. Xehanort describes Kingdom Hearts as an unseen land. Could this unseen land be the outside world Master Ava was talking about? Maybe she was talking about a basic world, but maybe she knew what was going to happen. I mean, they had the Book of Prophecies, right? That book predicts everything. Could there be this sort of realm in Kingdom Hearts? Maybe the dandelions found their way inside Kingdom Hearts, a realm full of light. And those who perished during the war, if their hearts were strong enough, they still had the chance to live on. And when the players died during the war, the cutscene with Scald and Ephemera, that's what they all experienced. Scald and Ephemera were able to find this outside world thanks to Kingdom Hearts. Here's the thing, guys. If this outside world is just a basic world, a different world, then wouldn't it get eventually destroyed? What's the point of moving to another world, knowing that it'll get destroyed eventually because of the war? So maybe this outside world has to do with Kingdom Hearts, a world filled with light, and this world gave players the chance to live another life. At one point, Ephemera says, "We'll go together." That's the same exact line Sora said to Riku in Kingdom Hearts 2. They saw this realm of light, and guess where it took them? It took them to Destiny Islands. So in Kingdom Hearts Key, Kingdom Hearts probably took them to a world which we haven't seen before. And if rebirth is an actual thing in the Kingdom Hearts universe, then these players who died during the war got reborn in a realm known as Kingdom Hearts. Guys, have you noticed this? During the first cutscene, we have the players gathering around this graveyard. They haven't started fighting yet. So how could this Keyblade graveyard be Daybreak Town? This is probably a separate location, right? In the beginning, I mentioned the Keyblade, right? It coexists with Kingdom Hearts. That blade eventually gets destroyed. 7 pieces of light and 13 pieces of darkness. Nothing was shown nor mentioned. People didn't fight over that Keyblade. What exactly is going on? Now apparently there's going to be an extra cutscene around August 29th if I'm not mistaken. Now apparently Unchained Key will be Season 2 of Kingdom Hearts Key, so more will be shown. We'll just have to wait. Now once that Keyblade shatters, Kingdom Hearts gets swallowed by the darkness along with all of the worlds. And it is known that those worlds get restored with the light within children's hearts. Xehanort explained that people battled over the Keyblade. Many desired it, but nothing was shown. Before I end the video, guys, notice in the credits, the player has been replaced by Scald and Ephemera. I'm not too sure if this has some sort of meaning, but could it hint towards the fact that Ephemera and Scald are still alive? What do you think? At the end of the credits, something very interesting is mentioned. When you wake up, what kind of world will you find yourself in? Will the world reflected in your eyes be the world you wished for? The one who will decide, that is you. Could this theory of people's hearts going to Kingdom Hearts be true? I mean, the message says, you decide where to go. So if someone's heart went into Kingdom Hearts, this huge realm of light, then they decide what the outside world will look like. And if that's the case, then another life is waiting for them in that outside world. Plus, this outside world, we don't exactly know what it looks like. So if someone's heart ends up joining Kingdom Hearts, then what the heart desires is what the player will get to see, and what they'll see is this outside world. But anyways guys, this is it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Now, as usual, leave your thoughts in the comments. And like I said in the beginning, all of these cutscenes will be in the description. I'll leave a link for you guys. Other than that, I've been Vivi, and thanks for watching.